My 12-year-old daughter kicked her dad's new wife's pregnant belly at their baby shower, and I've never been so proud of her. The call came through my office line on a Thursday afternoon. Ms. Reynolds? This is Principal Winters. There's been an incident involving Maddie at her father's baby shower. You need to come right away. I was in the middle of presenting quarterly projections to our biggest client, a presentation I'd spent 3 weeks preparing. Now my daughter, my cautious, rule-following 12-year-old who once made me drive back to a store because she accidentally walked out with a pencil, was being accused of violently attacking a pregnant woman. I'll be there in an hour, I told my assistant, already gathering my laptop. Reschedule everything. The drive from downtown Seattle to James's suburban McMansion felt endless. Rain lashed against my windshield as I called Maddie's phone repeatedly, each time going straight to voicemail. By the time I pulled into the circular driveway lined with luxury cars, my hands were trembling. Megan's white Lexus SUV sat prominently in front, a custom baby-on-board decal already displayed in the rear window. I barely knocked before James yanked open the door, his face contorted with a rage I hadn't seen since our divorce. "What the hell kind of child are you raising?" he hissed, blocking the entrance. "I'd like to speak with our daughter first," I replied evenly. "Before making any judgments." "She assaulted my pregnant wife," he spat. "At our baby shower. In front of my colleagues, my boss, everyone." I pushed past him into the marble foyer. "I want to hear Maddie's side." The living room resembled a courtroom. James's parents perched rigidly on their designer sofa, his brother Daniel pacing by the fireplace, his sister Rachel huddled near the bay window. Megan's parents stood sentry-like by the wet bar, and at the center of it all sat Megan herself, dramatically draped across a chaise lounge, one hand protectively cradling her 6-month belly, the other dabbing at mascara-streaked cheeks with a monogrammed handkerchief. And there, surrounded by this wall of hostility, sat my daughter. My Maddie, with her honey blonde hair still neatly braided the way I'd shown her last weekend, wearing the blue dress we'd picked out for special occasions. She sat perfectly straight, shoulders back, chin lifted, meeting my gaze with unwavering certainty. Not a trace of regret in her eyes, only quiet resolve that made my heart skip. "She needs serious psychiatric help," James's mother declared, clutching her pearls. "To attack a pregnant woman." "I'd like to speak with my daughter," I interrupted, kneeling in front of Maddie. "Absolutely not," Megan's father barked. "That child assaulted my daughter and my unborn grandchild. We're filing charges." "She kicked a pregnant woman in the stomach," James's father added, his voice dripping with disgust. "We've already called our family attorney." I ignored them all, focusing only on Maddie. "Tell me what happened, sweetheart." My daughter's eyes scanned the room slowly, taking in every hostile face. Then she spoke, her voice steady and clear. "You want to know the truth? She's not pregnant. She's been faking it this whole time." The room went silent for 3 heartbeats, then erupted. "Outrageous. How dare she? Disgusting little liar." Megan's sobs intensified, her mother rushing to her side. "You've traumatized her enough today." James stepped forward, looming over Maddie. "That's enough. You can't just make wild accusations because you're jealous of." But Maddie calmly reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. She unlocked it, opened her photos, and handed it to me. What I saw made my stomach drop. Screenshots of Amazon orders for something called a Silly Sense Progressive Pregnancy Simulator. Photos of a bottle labeled prenatal vitamin placebos. A screenshot of Megan's search history, how to fake positive pregnancy test, pregnancy symptom timeline, how to convince husband baby is his. Photos of a locked box hidden in their master bathroom cabinet, partially open to reveal a flesh-colored silicone dome. "She keeps the fake belly in that box," Maddie said quietly. "I found the key in her jewelry drawer 2 weeks ago." James grabbed the phone from my hands. "These could be photoshopped. You could have," his voice faltered as he scrolled through the evidence. Megan lunged forward. "Those were taken without my permission. That's an invasion of privacy." She stopped abruptly, seeming to realize she'd just confirmed the photos were real. Maddie stood up, her voice shaking slightly now. "Dad, I tried to tell you last month. You said I was making things up for attention." James's face drained of color. "I never, Mrs. Winters," Maddie turned to James's mother, "you told me I needed to accept my father's new family and to stop being a dramatic preteen." Mrs. Winters' mouth opened and closed without sound, her hand fluttering to her throat. "Daniel, when I showed you the receipt for the fake belly, you laughed and said I was watching too many soap operas. Daniel stared at the floor, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. Rachel, when I begged you to look in that box, you said I needed therapy for my unhealthy fixation with Megan's pregnancy. Rachel was backing toward the door, tears streaming down her face. I thought you were just upset about the divorce still. Every single one of you told me to shut up about it. Maddie's voice was flat now, drained of emotion. Not one adult in this family would listen. Megan's parents were having a heated whispered argument in the corner. Her father hissed, "Not again, Patricia. You promised she was finished with this after the Andersons." The word again hung in the air like smoke. "But that's not even why I kicked her," Maddie continued, cutting through the tension. Everyone froze. "What do you mean that's not why?" I asked, feeling my pulse quicken. "Last night I found her in Lily's room, telling her that once the baby comes, she'll be sent to boarding school because babies need all the attention." My blood ran cold. Lily was James's 7-year-old daughter from a brief relationship between our divorce and his marriage to Megan. Megan's mask finally slipped. That nosy brat was going through my things. I was just explaining consequences. James spun toward her. "What did you just say about my daughter?" For the first time, real fear flashed across Megan's face. Maddie was crying now, silent tears tracking down her cheeks. This morning at the shower, I heard her telling Lily that she'd have to go live with her real mom soon because the new baby needs her room. Lily doesn't even have a mom to go to, she's in a rehab facility in Arizona. "I tried to tell you again, Dad. You said not now, it's Megan's special day." She wiped her tears with her sleeve. "I knew nothing I could say would make you listen. So I did the only thing I could think of. I waited until she was opening gifts, and I kicked her fake belly as hard as I could." Maddie looked directly at her father. "I knew it wouldn't hurt a baby because there is no baby. And I was right." She reached into her other pocket and pulled out a torn piece of beige silicone. This fell out when she ran to the bathroom crying. "It's part of the fake belly." James took the piece of silicone, turning it over in his hands. The room was deathly quiet. Maddie spoke again, her voice small but firm. "We're children. And every adult in this room chose her over us." I called Child Protective Services immediately. Megan's family surrounded her, whispering frantically about dropping charges and keeping things quiet, but I wasn't listening. While they strategized, Megan slipped away to the master bedroom. I don't know what she did in there, but 15 minutes later when the CPS worker arrived, Megan emerged looking remarkably composed, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. The next 3 hours were a blur of statements and photographs. I took both girls to my apartment while the investigation began. But at 10 p.m., my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. "Ms. Reynolds? This is Detective Pearson with the King County Sheriff's Office. We need you to come to the station right away." I arranged for my neighbor to watch the girls and drove to the police station with my stomach in knots. What had Megan done now? The detective met me at the front desk, her expression grave. "This way, please." She led me to a small interrogation room with nothing but a metal table and 2 plastic chairs. She slid a manila folder across to me. "Ms. Reynolds, are you familiar with these messages?" Inside were screenshots of text messages supposedly between Megan and me. The messages showed me encouraging Megan to put Lily in her place and approving of her handling the situation with Maddie. One message read, "Do whatever you need to with my daughter. She needs discipline I can't provide while focusing on my career." I stared at these messages I had never sent, my hands shaking. "These are fake. I never wrote any of this." The detective watched my face carefully. "These were found on Mrs. Winter's phone after she reported the assault on her person. She claims you've been conspiring with her to discipline the children while you're building your career." The realization hit me like ice water. Megan was trying to drag me down with her, making it look like I approved of her behavior toward the girls. "I want my phone records pulled immediately," I said. "And I want a lawyer." Within an hour, my college roommate Elena, now a family court attorney, was sitting beside me while a tech officer photographed my phone and took my fingerprints. "They're investigating you as a potential accomplice," Elena whispered as they swabbed the inside of my cheek for DNA. "Megan is claiming you knew about her treatment of the girls and approved of it." For the next 4 hours, they questioned me about every interaction I'd ever had with Megan. When did we first meet? Did we communicate regularly? Had I ever discussed disciplinary approaches with her? Had I noticed changes in my daughter's behavior? Why hadn't I intervened sooner if I suspected something was wrong? Every question felt like an accusation. Finally, they let me leave, but kept my phone and told me not to leave town. I called Elena from my car as soon as I got out. She's setting me up, I whispered, afraid the parking lot might have cameras. She's trying to make it look like I'm in on whatever she's been doing. I've already filed preservation orders with all the phone carriers, Elena said. We'll get the actual records to prove those messages are fake. Don't talk to anyone without me present, not James, not his family, not the police. Understand? The next morning, a woman from CPS arrived to interview both girls separately. Maddie went first, recounting everything from finding the fake pregnancy belly to the emotional manipulation of Lily. The CPS worker recorded everything, had Maddie sign her statement, then interviewed Lily in the bathroom with the door cracked. The little girl confirmed Maddie's account, describing how Megan had told her she'd have to leave once the baby came. She said Daddy would love the real baby more than me, Lily whispered, clutching a stuffed unicorn I bought her for Christmas. As the CPS worker was leaving, my phone rang, Elena calling from the digital forensics office where they'd been analyzing my device. Good news, she said. The tech team found evidence that those text messages were created using a spoofing app. The metadata shows they were all made yesterday, around the time Megan was alone in the bedroom. A weight lifted from my chest. So they know I'm not involved? The detective is dropping that line of investigation, but we're not in the clear yet. They're still looking at Maddie for assault, and Megan's already spinning a victim narrative. True to Elena's prediction, by that afternoon Megan had filed for a restraining order against both me and Maddie. Her petition claimed Maddie had a history of violent outbursts and that I had orchestrated the attack to disrupt her marriage to James. Meanwhile, James was calling every hour, alternating between apologizing for not believing Maddie and demanding to know where Lily was. CPS had temporarily placed both girls with me while they investigated the household situation. 3 days later, Elena called with a breakthrough. The tech team recovered deleted searches from Megan's phone. How to fake pregnancy test results, silicone baby bump reviews, how to induce pregnancy symptoms. All from 7 months ago, right after James got that promotion. That's when she announced the pregnancy, I said, the timeline finally making sense. That's not all, Elena continued. They found emails to a Dr. Martinez in Mexico about hormone treatments to mimic pregnancy symptoms. And get this, the receipt for the silicone belly was found in the master bedroom trash. It matches the piece Maddie had. James finally requested a meeting with Maddie, supervised by CPS. I watched from behind one-way glass as my daughter faced her father across a sterile conference table. I'm sorry I didn't believe you, he said, his voice hoarse. I should have listened. Maddie just stared at him, saying nothing. The police found more evidence in Megan's things, he continued. Hormone pills. The rest of the fake belly. Documents showing she's not even seeing a real obstetrician. Still, Maddie said nothing. Please say something, Mad. My daughter finally spoke, her voice flat. You chose her over me every single time. Not just about the pregnancy. Everything. James flinched as if she'd slapped him. I know. I'm so sorry. I told you twice she was making Lily cry. I showed you the fake belly order confirmation 3 weeks ago. You deleted it from my phone and grounded me. James put his head in his hands. I thought you were making it up because you were upset about the divorce still. Mom and you have been divorced for 3 years, Dad. This isn't about that. The CPS worker ended the visit when James started crying. Maddie walked out without looking back. That night, after both girls were asleep, I sat at my kitchen table reviewing the mountain of documents Elena had sent over. Police reports. CPS findings. Preliminary court filings. The case against Megan was building, but Maddie was still facing potential charges for assault. My phone pinged with a message from Elena, call me. Major development. Elena answered on the first ring. Megan's parents reached out. They want to meet privately tomorrow. Why would I agree to that? Because, Elena said, they mentioned this isn't the first time Megan has faked a pregnancy. The meeting took place at Elena's office the next morning. Megan's parents looked exhausted, her father's hands trembling as he placed a folder on the conference table. 2 years ago, Megan did the same thing in Portland, he said without preamble. She was engaged to a divorced man with 2 daughters. When the older girl started telling people Megan wasn't really pregnant, she claimed the girl was emotionally disturbed and needed residential treatment. He slid the folder toward me. Inside were medical records, court filings, and eventually a sealed settlement. We pay that family a significant amount to keep quiet, Megan's mother said, her voice hollow. We thought the therapy was working this time. And before Portland? Elena asked. San Diego. A widower with a son. Megan's father looked down at his hands. We moved her to Oregon after that family threatened legal action. My mind was reeling. Why are you telling us this now? Because we don't want Maddie charged, her mother said. She was protecting her sister. We'll drop all charges if you agree not to pursue anything further against Megan. Elena and I exchanged glances. That's not how this works, Elena said. CPS is already involved. There's evidence of emotional abuse against minors. Please, Megan's father begged. She needs help, not jail. She needs both, I replied. And your daughter isn't the only one who needs protection here. The next day, Megan was arrested for fraud, identity theft. She'd been using a stolen medical ID for fake appointments, and emotional abuse of a minor. Her parents posted bail within hours, and she immediately began a media campaign portraying herself as the victim of a vengeful ex-wife. Local news picked up the story. Baby shower assault leads to shocking fraud case, read the headlines. Social media exploded with takes from people who knew nothing about our situation. Some calling Maddie a hero, others suggesting I'd coached her to attack a pregnant woman. Through it all, Maddie remained composed beyond her years. She attended the required hearings, answered questions clearly, and never once wavered from her account. The juvenile court judge reviewed the evidence and offered her a diversion program, 6 months of community service and counseling in exchange for dismissing the assault charges. Lily struggled more. She had nightmares about being sent away, waking up crying for James, who was now allowed only supervised visits while the investigation continued. The CPS worker found a child psychologist specializing in emotional abuse, and Lily slowly began to open up in therapy. 3 weeks after the baby shower, the district attorney called us into her office. I've reviewed all the evidence, she said, including Megan's prior history that her parents disclosed. We're charging her with multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, and child endangerment. What about the assault charges against Maddie? I asked. Dropped, the DA replied. Given the circumstances and the evidence of prior manipulation, no jury would convict her. As we left the DA's office, Maddie finally broke down. Standing in the parking lot, my rule-following, peacemaking 12-year-old sobbed in my arms like she hadn't since she was little. I was so scared, she whispered. I thought no one would ever believe me. I believe you, I told her, holding her tight. I will always believe you. James filed for divorce the following week, requesting emergency custody of Lily and supervised visitation with Maddie if she wanted it. Megan's parents moved her back to their home in California while awaiting trial, under the condition that she resume intensive therapy. The aftermath was messy and ongoing. Maddie started a new school year with weekly therapy sessions and volunteer work at an animal shelter for her community service. Lily stayed with James but spent weekends with us, gradually rebuilding her trust in adults. My marketing career took a hit from all the time off, but I arranged a more flexible schedule to be present for both girls. 4 months after the baby shower, I sat at my kitchen table late at night, surrounded by court documents, therapy schedules, and school forms. The legal proceedings against Megan would continue for months, possibly years. The girl's healing would take even longer. But tonight, Maddie was sleeping peacefully down the hall instead of being punished for telling the truth. Lily was safely tucked in the guest room that was slowly becoming hers, with no fear of being sent away. That had to be enough for now, because it was all we had while waiting for justice to work its slow, imperfect way through the system. I glanced at the piece of silicone belly still sitting in an evidence bag on my counter. The district attorney had let me keep a small fragment after they'd collected what they needed. It was a strange souvenir from the day my daughter taught me that sometimes the bravest thing isn't following the rules, it's breaking them when everyone else is too afraid to see the truth. 2 weeks later, I received a letter Fr. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from Maddie's school counselor. She'd written an essay about heroes for her English class. Instead of choosing a celebrity or historical figure, she'd written about herself. The final line read, "Sometimes being a hero means doing the wrong thing for the right reason, even when everyone tells you you're crazy." I hung that essay on our refrigerator, right next to the calendar marking our court dates. Sometimes the proudest moments in parenting aren't when your child follows the rules, but when they find the courage to break them because they know it's right, even when every adult around them says otherwise. In the months that followed, as we navigated the legal system and therapy appointments, I watched my daughter grow not despite the trauma, but because of how she faced it. She discovered something many adults never learn, that sometimes the truth is worth fighting for, no matter the consequences. And for that, I couldn't have been prouder.